I'm back finally, guys, with yet another classic Air Hogs review of the Reflex Micro Helicopter. Released in 2006, this was Air Hogs' first 3-channel helicopter, and probably one of the smallest 3-channel helicopters at the time, and has some pretty unique features and design that most other 3-channel helicopters do not have anymore. So we're going to take a look at those, as well as the history behind it, and see if this machine still works, because this thing I got in 2007 and it's pretty old, and I'm not sure if the battery or the motors will still work in it, but you'll find out in this review and the history behind it. So here we go. The Air Hogs Reflex helicopter, released in 2006, originally branded as the Helix, but then was rebranded as the Reflex. Here's the very impressive packaging that it came in. It has like a trophy style package here. Shows all these stuff that it has: LiPo battery and charger included, ultimate twin rotor stability, professional, amazing precision and control, a bunch of other facts. And here's the back of the box showing some of the other features. You can bank left and right, go up and down. And then here's the bottom part of the box that has some other information of the helicopter, including the battery info and that sort of thing. So here we go. I'm going to take it out right in a moment. Alright, here's the mock unboxing of the Reflex. Just take off the top lid here, put it off to the side. Here's the helicopter resting in the plastic tray here. Looks pretty cool. Take that in a moment. But we want to see the rest of the package. Take this cardboard off to unveil the wall charger, which is pretty interesting. This is probably one of the first Air Hog aircraft to charge through the wall versus a built-in charger via transmitter. But both this and the storm launcher came with the wall charger, so both of them were the first ones to have it. And then came with a 9-volt battery to put in the 3-channel transmitter here, and it's a pretty interesting transmitter. And then it also came with spare blades, which I had lost quite a while back, so I don't have those in here, just all this other stuff. So that's how the unboxing goes. Alright, I got everything out of the box here, guys. I'm going to take a quick look at the helicopter here. It has a pretty interesting design to it from 2006. As you can see, it has a pretty big canopy here, and then a very small stubby tail section here. It was originally called the Helix back in 2006 when it was first released, but then a faulty battery charger, I guess, overcharged the batteries and caused a lot of problems with the batteries. So they recalled the Helix, and then when they re-released it, it was called the Reflex, to, I guess, distinguish that they made improvements to it or something. But now I got several different Air Hog models called the Helix, so it doesn't matter which one you call it now. So it's kind of more distinguishable that they recalled it the Reflex now. As you can see, it has this pretty decent foam body construction. Here's the bottom of it, which has a couple vents here on the sides and bottom. Here's the landing gear, which are pretty large landing gear for a micro helicopter, but the main rotors do have some power. And speaking of the main rotors, they're coaxial, as you can see, but they're geared to one motor. So as you can see here, they both spin when you spin them around here, because they're geared to one another on one motor, versus most 3-channel helicopters nowadays have 2 motors manning each rotor, and the back here would control your forward and backward. This would be where the tail rotor should be for your pitch, but the Reflex's controls are done with the fans here. As you can see, these little fans on the side control your forward and backward, as well as your yaw left and right. So as you put input on the transmitter stick here, when you put forward here, these fans will both turn on, blowing this way, so that your helicopter will fly forward. And then when you pull backwards on the stick, it'll go backwards like this, and then when you put left and right on the stick, it will spin these motors in opposite directions, so it can yaw left and right, which did work okay, but with the rotor wash, it still kind of worked kind of sloppily. That's probably why you don't really see this design that much anymore, but it was a pretty unique design back then. Okay, here's the transmitter of the Reflex. Pretty interesting design as well. Here's your throttle stick, which is proportionate, which is very nice. And it is spring-loaded, but it has a dampener on it, so it slowly goes down versus it immediately shutting off and slamming. So as you can see, it smoothly goes down, so you can do a nice landing if you have to. And then the right stick here is not proportionate; it's on and off, but it does control your forward and backward and left and right. So as you can see, barely any travel on this stick. I'm not sure if you can see that in the lighting here, but barely any travel on the stick here. So you just click, 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 click. There's no real major stick movement. And then, as you see, there are no trims on this transmitter. So you're probably questioning, how do you trim this thing? So on the helicopter here, there's no forward and backward trim, but there is a yaw trim on the helicopter itself. On the top rotor here is a little dial, which you spin left and right to trim it. So if you're spinning to the right, so to speak, you spin this dial to the left, but don't do it too much or else you might spin in the opposite direction. It's a very touchy way of trimming it and pretty interesting. So you just spin it in one direction, in the opposite direction, to straighten it out, and it did work. Once you had it trimmed out fine, this thing used to fly pretty well. It was a very stable flying helicopter, but a lot of trial and error to get trimming just right for it to fly the way you want it to fly, since there's no digital trims on the transmitter. You have to do it manually up here, which is pretty weird. Alright, I have the Reflex charging now. As you can see, I have it plugged into the extension cord here. And then you just plug the charger into the rear end of the helicopter, as shown. And you should have a red flashing light indicating that it is charging. And when the red light goes off, it should be fully charged. So, in about 50 minutes or so, this thing should be fully charged, and we'll see what happens. Okay, everyone. I charged it a little bit. I still had to charge it a little bit more, but I just want to show you a quick demonstration of how this helicopter works versus other 3-channel helicopters. So, when you put forward on the right stick here, it's not proportional, but when you put forward on it, both of these side motors here will turn on, and they'll blow back towards the tail boom here to give you a forward flight here. And then when you go backwards, you'll blow in this direction, so you can fly backwards. And then when you press right to yaw right, the right motor will blow backwards, while the left motor will blow forwards, so that it will spin like this. And then when you put stick to the left, it'll be the reverse of the right input, so it will yaw to the left. Pretty interesting how that works. And then there's a quick sample of the throttle. It sounds incredibly weak. It's barely even going to hover off the ground at this stage, so probably going to charge a little more, see what happens. Alright, we're going to attempt to see if the Reflex will now fly. I know this thing is pretty old, almost a decade old, but here we go. Yep. It's definitely not going to fly. This is full throttle. Full throttle. You hear little fans running a little bit. It does move backward when I push backward on the stick, but that's about it. One movement I'm getting out of it. So right now it's just a spinning fan. But, I guess we have to conclude the review since I can't get any flight footage. The battery's too dead in it. So there we go, guys. It's the Hogs REFLEX. Maybe I'll revive this thing with a new battery in the future. Maybe you guys can decide. Do you want me to add a new battery to this? Or do you want me to revive my mini storm launcher? I have two of them, but one of them is also dead, so which one do you want revived? This or the mini storm launcher? Just comment on this video or whatever. Hope to see you guys in the next one.